Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're going to be talking about heroines in STEM. And if you don't know what STEM is, it is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math. And still, to this day, women are much less likely to go into occupations in STEM subjects than men. So, in honor of the women who do go into STEM subjects, I'm going to be talking about some heroines who are in STEM. So I have a couple, and we're just going to get into the books. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is actually a historical, and that is How to Love a Duke in 10 Days by Kerrigan Byrne. The heroine in this book is an archaeologist, and even though archaeology is a social science, it is considered under the umbrella of STEM subjects. I looked it up. So the heroine in this book's name is Alexandra, and she is an archaeologist. This book is one of my favorites because of the female friendship that is in it. This book starts when Alexandra is very young. There is a very strong trigger warning for sexual assault, for rape. Alexandra is assaulted by her school teacher, and she kills him while he's assaulting her. And she and her two best friends bury him in the backyard together. This bonds them for life. The other two share secrets, and the three become fully bonded for life, and they decide they're never going to get married. They're really going to always just focus on each other. They don't need anyone else. So the three girls grow up, and they have focused very highly on their education. All three are very highly educated women. They all studied at the Sorbonne, and Alexandra is a very successful archaeologist. I even have a edition that came with an author letter, and the author letter has her holding a skull on it, which I thought was really cute. So Alexandra grows up, and she ends up having a marriage of convenience with a man named Piers, who's a duke. And during this book, they do go to an archaeological dig site where Alexandra is uncovering, I think it's actually Piers's like great-great-grand relatives' remains. And in the process, they have to fall in love in 10 days. So it is very, very good. I absolutely love it. Like I said, very strong trigger warnings for rape, sexual assault. So just be aware of that going in. It can be very startling because it is an on-page scene. But really, really amazing, and I really, really love how focused Alexandra is on her education and on her later career. The next one that I'm going to talk about is the Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This one is about a woman who is autistic, and she is a mathematician, and she is very good at logical situations, but she's very not good at interpersonal relationships and love and interacting with other people, including in a romantic / sexual situation. So what she does is she hires a male escort to teach her about romance and sex, basically. And the two end up falling in love. The heroine, whose name I unfortunately cannot remember, is very focused on math and statistics and things like that. She really bases her life off of the understanding of math and of logic. Everything works out in math. Everything always has an answer. It makes sense. And it frustrates her that things don't make sense in real life and in life outside of math. And it can be very hard for her. And she has to work through it and and she ends up having this really, really beautiful romance with her hero. And I loved this one. So, so good. It's also own voices the author and the main character are both Asian. Then the next one that I have is the Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. This one is about a single mother who, her best friend decides to join this dating site, this very new dating site, and like ropes the heroine into it. And what this dating site is you give your DNA, and the people who run it match your DNA to someone based on what you're looking for. So they found that you can match genetically and like DNA wise to find romantic partners. And they have narrowed it down kind of like, so if you are a 30 to 40% match, then that's probably a really good hookup for you. If you are a 50 to 60% match, that's a pretty good match. You probably could date really compatibly, but you're not a perfect match. If you're 70 to 80, that's a great marriage match. That's really, really good. You have a very strong likelihood, very high statistical probability of staying together for a long time. And then if you are a 90 or above, that's a soulmate match. And that means that you work 90% of your selves are compatible. You are very, very, very likely to have a good romantic relationship with that person. And so the heroine doesn't really want to sign up for this dating site, but her best friend ropes her into it. And so the heroine decides, I only want to get notified if I get a soulmate match. And lo and behold, she gets a soulmate match, but she matches with the original creator of the dating service. He is the original main scientist on the project, and they end up matching and getting a soulmate match. And they decide to sort of fake date for publicity for the company, because the company's about to go public. But the heroine, the reason why it's on this list, is the heroine works in statistical analysis. She works with statistics, and one of the main reasons why that plays such a large role in this book is because the heroine is so much more likely, she actually ends up agreeing to it because she sees the data. She sees the actual on-paper information that proves that this site actually works. And for her, who already works in data and statistical analysis, she's able to understand those papers and read them and say, hey, this makes sense. We do have a higher statistical probability of remaining together long term. So she ends up agreeing to it after seeing this data, because she understands it. And for someone who doesn't understand it, they might not have agreed so wholeheartedly in the idea, because they wouldn't have understood it. Then the next one that I'm going to talk about is The Trouble with Hating You by Sajni Patel. This one, the heroine is an engineer. I think she's actually a biochemical engineer. And the hero is a lawyer, and they end up doing kind of like a workplace situation, because he is working at, is he a lawyer? Maybe he's like an auditor, but he ends up coming to her company and going through everything. So I think he might be like an auditor or something, where he's going through all of the information, but they end up working together. They end up, their offices end up being very close together. And then there are also a lot of other things going on behind the scenes. The heroine also, her family is trying to have her into an arranged marriage with the hero. And there are a lot of like, not quite miscommunications, but beginning misunderstandings where they take things the wrong way before actually getting to know each other. But this book was amazing. I really, really loved it. Another trigger warning. Make sure you look up trigger warnings in this book also, though. Then the next one I'm going to talk about is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one is about a woman named Chloe Brown who has fibromyalgia, and she, which is a illness that causes her to be in a lot of pain. And she devises this list of things that she thinks will make her get a life. Because she like takes a good hard look at herself and is like, I need to get a life. So she writes a list of things that she's like, if I accomplish all of these things, I'll have a life. So the things are like move out and get drunk and have sex, that kind of thing. And she ends up moving out, and she ends up meeting her, I think he's her building manager, or like he's like looking after the place. I don't think he's actually like her landlord, but he like is in charge of the building. And his name's Red, and he and Chloe end up forming this friendship / relationship where he helps her with her list to get a life. But Chloe is a woman in STEM because she works in computer programming. She works as a computer programmer, and this job I think fits her really, really well because it's a job she can do from home. As somebody with a chronic illness, I have a lot of difficulty with the idea of going into an office and working. There are times when you will wake up and you will be having a really hard time, or the night before was really crappy and you just wake up and you just feel really, really awful, or you're having a flare-up. Or when I have a flare-up, I can barely leave my bed because I can't be unattached from my heating pad. So things like that, when you have a chronic illness like Chloe does, play a big role in what job you choose. And for someone like Chloe to be a computer programmer, she can do it at home while sitting on her couch and having pillows and comfy blankets around and having comfy clothes on, because other clothes can be very restrictive and cannot make you like move very well. She can have a heating pad if she needs to. She can lay down if she needs to, that kind of thing. She can randomly walk around and get up without being judged if she needs to. So there are things like that that really play in a role in having a chronic illness and choosing a job. So I think that the fact that Chloe has a job that really allows her to work from home makes perfect sense for her character. And I really, really love that she's a computer programmer, because I wish more women were computer programmers. I also took computer programming in college and know how hard it is. So I have mad respect for Chloe for being able to do that. Okay, the last book that I'm going to talk about is Pulling Doubles by Christina C. Jones. This one is an office workplace romance between I think she's a nurse practitioner and a doctor. So the heroine is now working, I think she's now out of school, and she's doing her residency, I think, at a hospital, and she has a enemies to lovers style workplace relationship with one of the doctors at the hospital. So the heroine is in medicine. I don't think she's a doctor, I think she's a nurse practitioner. But again, works in the medical field, so perfectly fits the STEM headline. So I really love this book. I really need to read more by Christina C. Jones because I really love this book and all the other books that I've read by her. But I say that every time that I mention a Christina C. Jones book, because she's just fantastic. So I would totally recommend them. But I think that's it for this video. That's all of the books that I was going to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see me in my next video, and comment down below if you're a woman who works in STEM, or if you have another book recommendation of a woman who works in STEM. That's it. I hope you have a great day. Bye.